Welcome to Anti-Woke and Autistic. If you feel shame after eating a cupcake, you most likely have a much deeper issue going on. Take a look at this Instagram. It's meant to be funny. Today I ate a cupcake without sprinkles. Diets are hard. Notice the bubble, the blurb that's been inserted. It says, "Is this really necessary?" So the person who posted this was offended by this little harmless joke. She goes on to say, when you decide to give up dieting, suddenly you see it everywhere. The nonstop messages that tell us we need to restrict, be good, or change in some way. These subliminal messages tempt us to feel ashamed for simply eating a cupcake. Sheesh. Yeah, she says sheesh. So for those of you who have difficulty seeing, I did not throw in the sheesh. She's the one who put the sheesh in. Anyways, somebody who feels this way is very, very sensitive. We live in a dog-eat-dog world, and if something as innocuous as a little joke about eating cupcake sprinkles sets this person off and triggers them, they need mental health, they need counseling, they need therapy, they need something more than what they're currently getting. Something's wrong, and that's not caused by diet culture. It's caused by the environment they grew up in. That's Psychology 101. The home life, it must not be underestimated in terms of its power to shape the human mind. Her caption continues, but the truth is diets don't support our bodies or lead to long-term health. They're unsustainable. Real self-care means tuning out the noise, making peace with food, and trusting our internal wisdom when it comes to nourishing ourselves. Well, there's a bunch of flaws in this statement. First of all, the truth is that diets don't support our bodies or lead to long-term health. They are unsustainable. Certain diets are. Certain diets are unsustainable. But if all you do is eat less, if you simply eat less, create a caloric deficit, if you continue eating the same foods you normally eat, but you simply eat less of those foods. It's the law of thermodynamics. Calories in versus calories out. You will lose weight, especially if you add intense cardio sessions 2 or 3 times a week. And when I say intense, I mean high intensity interval training or just regular interval training, meaning alternating brief periods of high exertion with a little longer periods, like a few minutes or so, of recovery intervals where you're recharging, where you're catching your breath. So do that 2 or 3 times a week, and then do hardcore, rigorous strength training. That doesn't mean bodybuilding or powerlifting or anything like that. It simply means intense weight training, strength training, resistance training, and you do that 3 times a week, plus portion control, portion control. Eat less. You will lose weight. You're not going to lose weight doing little dance parties in the kitchen or doing joyful movement and things like that. You really do need to take it seriously. So the reason so many, quote, diets don't work is because the person goes on a non-sustainable diet, or even if it's sustainable, even if it's simply eating less, they simply don't stick to that due to any number of reasons, and they regain the weight, not because there's a flaw in portion control, not because there's a flaw in eating less, not because there's a flaw in eating healthier foods, not because there's a flaw in eating mindfully, but because they return to the lifestyle, the eating habits that made them fat in the first place. It is not the diet's fault. It's the person's fault. They either chose a fad, non-sustainable diet that they should have known they wouldn't be able to stick to, or for whatever reason, usually almost always emotional reasons, they go back to binge eating or compulsive overeating. They just load up on the pizza. Instead of 2 slices of pizza, it's a whole 10-inch pizza. The diet didn't fail. The person simply returned to their previous unhealthy lifestyle that was conducive to getting fat. I hate when people say diets fail, diets don't work. Real self-care means tuning out the noise, making peace with food, and trusting our internal wisdom when it comes to nourishing ourselves. That sounds something straight out of an intuitive eating handbook. If I ate intuitively, I'd be chowing down on 3 or 4 chocolate donuts right now. I would have had a 10-inch pizza earlier with a thick crust. I would have had chocolate cake earlier. I intuitively want to load up on ultra-processed food. So intuitive eating isn't any more successful than portion control. In fact, the people who declare they intuitively eat are almost always obese. You gotta wonder why that is. Now the next caption, This journey is tough with diet culture surrounding us daily, but every time we choose compassion over criticism and honor our hunger and fullness signals, we reclaim more power and step further into the body liberation. Be gentle with yourself. Change takes time, but with each choice, know you're enough just as you are. Well, I see at least two things wrong here. First of all, she says diet culture surrounds us daily. How? How? How does diet culture surround us daily? What did I do today? Well, I went out to do some socializing at a pizza place. I was not surrounded by any diet culture at any point while at the pizza place. I was at home the rest of the time, and I was just doing all sorts of things around the house, just doing some computer work, catching up on housework and stuff. So you might say, well, of course I wasn't surrounded by diet culture. I stayed home for most of the day. I didn't see any. Well, I might have seen one diet commercial or two diet commercials. Like for Golo, there are a lot of Golo and Jenny Craig commercials or Nutrisystem, whatever. But that doesn't mean I'm surrounded by it. It's just a commercial. I'll tell you what commercials seem to surround us all the time are those ridiculous Medicare commercials. Don't get me started on those. But what about times when I'm out in the community for longer, where I go to multiple places, where I'm out a lot, where I'm around a lot of people, etc. I am still not surrounded by diet culture. This person here says diet culture surrounds us daily. I am never surrounded. What do you mean surrounded? If anything, we are surrounded by fat culture daily. We are surrounded by obesity culture daily. When I'm driving down the street, every other building, I swear, every other building is a food place of some sort. There's McDonald's everywhere. There's Taco Bell everywhere. Burger King, Wendy's, pizza places. What's that other place? Taco Bell? Did I say Taco Bell? There's food trucks everywhere. My gosh, there are so many food trucks everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's food. You go into Walmart, there's McDonald's, there's Subways everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's Chinese places, Chinese food, steakhouses, there's ice cream shops, there's bakeries. We are surrounded by obesity culture every day, not diet culture. When you drive down a busy street, all right, if you drive down a busy street that's lined with one business after another, how many of those businesses are related to weight loss? How many? How many Jenny Craig centers do you pass by? How many weight loss centers do you pass by? How many gyms do you pass by? Really, not a whole lot when you think about it. But in just 5 minutes of driving, how many fast food places will you pass by? How many gas stations do you pass by in 5 minutes? You know, gas stations these days practically contain an entire supermarket. There's fresh hot dogs being grilled, there's nachos, there's all sorts of things you could get at gas stations. They have mini bakeries at gas stations. So between the gas stations and the fast food places, Starbucks with their bakeries and other food sources, it's extremely accurate to say that obesity culture surrounds us daily. Not diet culture. You got that? It's obesity culture. It's overeating culture. Everywhere you look, there's a place that sells processed food. If you were to step out of your car just randomly at some place, randomly step out of your car, how long, and you were walking, how long would it be before you came across a weight loss clinic, a weight loss center, or something related to weight loss? Well, it might be, you could be walking for 20 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes before you find something. Now, how many minutes, how long would it be before you found a fast food place? 30 seconds, at least 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, would probably be within your line of vision. Of course, it depends on where you live, but I live in a busy, bustling, buzzing city, and so there's just tons of places to eat. So I could be walking for 20 or 30 minutes before I find a health club or a gym. I could be walking for an hour before I see a weight loss clinic or a Jenny Craig facility, whatever, or an Overeaters Anonymous meeting place or whatever. But I could see within walking distance 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 fast food places. So don't say diet culture surrounds us daily. It is overeating, compulsive overeating, binge eating, obesity, fat culture that surrounds us daily. Every time we honor our hunger and fullness signals, that's the problem. People who overeat do not honor their hunger and fullness signals in the right way. They eat for emotional reasons. They eat for many reasons other than hunger. They don't stop when they're full. They keep eating past the point of fullness. That's what a binge eater does. We reclaim more power and step further into body liberation. No, you don't reclaim more power. You're out of control when you're binge eating and overeating and eating much more than your body needs. That's not body liberation, that's body abuse. You do not reclaim anything. You're out of control. You're powerless. Be gentle with yourself. Change takes time. It does. Change does take time. If you want to adopt a healthier lifestyle, you can't do it overnight. Do it in small increments. Yeah, it does take time. She's right there. But with each choice, no, you're enough just as you are. What exactly does she mean by that? Does she mean it's okay to be fat? Does she mean it's okay to be 300 pounds? That's a pretty ambiguous statement, but I'm pretty sure she means if you're as fat as a house, if you're as big as a house, it's okay to stay that way. I'm sure that's what she means. So going back to the original post here that sets things off, today I ate a cupcake without sprinkles. Diets are hard. I think that's kind of funny. Not that I laughed my head off when I saw it, but I get the humor. I get the humor. It certainly should not offend anybody or trigger anybody. And if she's triggered by this, she has a problem. She definitely has a problem. Not the people who are trying to lose weight and get a trim, tight toned tummy. She's the one with the problem. That is my message for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.